On the No Clue podcast. March Madness is finally over. The playoffs are on their way. Who's going to be in the play-in? We don't know. Last game will decide. Plus, our all bench teams and all most improved teams for the NBA this season. This was a lot of fun doing this. Stay tuned. Welcome to the No Clue podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Tyler.
I'm Mike.
And we're back. March Madness is officially over. What an exciting month it was for men's and women's basketball.
Yeah.
It is always exciting. You have any overall thoughts about the tournaments before we get into them?
I do feel bad for the men's because, to me, they had a good tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But their Final Four was very predictable.
Yeah.
I think I called out exactly – I think I told you before the Final Four literally exactly what would happen. The two teams that would win and then the outcome in the championship.
Yeah. Yep.
And it kind of went exactly – UConn was so dominant.
They were.
That being objective, you really couldn't pick anybody else.
Yeah, and they've been dominant throughout the year. And what was that crazy point differential they had throughout the whole tournament?
Last 2 years, their average margin is 23 or something. It's something in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think in the championship was the first time they had been down by more than 2 points. So yeah, and it's always tough when a lower seed like NC State, who, whether you call them a Cinderella team or not, when they get to the Final Four or they really get really deep to the point where they feel like a Cinderella team, a lot of times they run into a buzzsaw because then the number one seed from the other bracket is there,
Well, it's funny because I got to watch Purdue throughout the tournament a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I told you at one point, I'm like, man, they could shoot. A lot of people are talking about Edey, but Purdue as a whole could shoot. And a lot of the teams would really try to take away either Edey, doubling him, or take away the shooters and let Edey just dominate.
Right.
And think about it. The Tennessee game, they let Edey cook. Edey's stats were historically great. And Tennessee had the game.
Yeah, they did. They were in it.
And UConn saw that. UConn saw that and followed that blueprint, made that blueprint 2.0 essentially.
They absolutely did. Absolutely.
All these guys that I was enjoying watching couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that way, the game felt very predictable to me.
Yeah, it did. It did. And it looks like UConn had the more talented team out there, overall. They had a lot of depth. The game plan was perfect. They were just another level. And Purdue was great, a really, really good team throughout the whole tournament. Like you said, Tennessee had a chance, but that's what you expect out of a 1-2 matchup. And that was a great 1-2 matchup. It was the only one of the Elite Eight, so yeah. Finals, it was pretty obvious, but congrats to the Huskies, man. Back to back. First back to back in a while.
Dude, and they have so much talent. I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really see them slowing down that much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's one thing that is pretty cool about college basketball when the teams aren't stacking the team with NBA talent. Is just really, really good basketball players. No offense to those guys, because some of them are NBA talent, but they're not one and done guys. A lot of them. So you can build off that. You can make a culture, create a culture around the team and a pedigree throughout the university, throughout the program, and you have moments like this back to
Yeah.
back.
And it's similar to
They're
me,
probably
like
the favorites next
Villanova.
year.
Yeah, Villanova with Jay Wright kind of had this of,
They
and they
absolutely
had maybe a
did.
little bit more NBA talent. But if you really think back, in the moment, we really didn't see that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say they did. I mean,
Exactly.
I think,
So
uh-huh.
to me, they're just like a program now. UConn is in a similar spot where now it's going to be like they're going to turn out NBA players because the program is just perfect.
Mm-hmm. It'll be
And
good
Vil
as
and
long as the coach,
yeah,
as long as the coach stays there, as long
yeah,
as Hurley
exactly.
stays there. That's usually how it goes. Those teams that have those dynasties
And we
are good
see
until
we
the coach
see
doesn't want to
you
be.
know, his spot is pretty secure. He ain't looking to go anywhere else.
No, he's not. Yeah, I mean, no point. No point. And UConn,
Exactly.
I'm sure they pay plenty. It's not like it's
Right.
a better deal somewhere else. I think UConn takes care of them very well.
I'm going to be honest though, and this is more of a legacy thing.
Mm-hmm.
UConn is the best modern college basketball program
Oh, absolutely.
like
Yeah.
ever. I know the UCLA had like the super OG run back in the
Yeah.
60s, I want to say, maybe 70s.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last 20 something years, they got 6 titles.
Yeah.
Nobody else is even close to that.
And then the women have probably what, 6 too?
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. They're all around just dominating.
Yeah, they are.
Kind of
Yeah.
like what the Spurs are doing with Pop and Duncan for all those years. It's the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it, man.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And you're right, UCLA definitely. I mean, UCLA has they keep the basketball title in men's probably until the 90s, and then that's when it really changes. You know, when UConn really takes
Yeah.
it, and UCLA just starts getting good guys, but not really winning anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's like it's funny because Duke and UNC and some of the other powerhouses
yeah,
like kind of fooled us for 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years that they're
hmm,
just as good.
yeah,
But it was all predicated on either the coaching or the talent. UConn has had to overcome a lack of everything.
yeah, yeah.
And
In
they've
a
had
lot
to
of ways,
adjust
yeah,
and change. So it's a no brainer to me.
yeah. And UConn, a lot of times they have these heroes that you don't think, like, no one expected Shabazz to take that second UConn team to the title. Like,
Not
he
at
was truly
all.
like a, yeah. They have those kind of guys on their team. A lot of times their teams aren't like complete bomb squads like the Florida team or like a Kentucky team. A lot of times it's like maybe 2 or 3 really solid leaders on the team that really just carry them.
Yeah. I mean, this team,
And
not to hate, but
uh,
this team doesn't stack up to that back to back Florida team.
oh no, no, not even close. No,
They're
not
getting
even
ran
close.
off the gym, dude. It would be bad.
Yeah, it would be really bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So shout out to UConn, and the men's championship. Now to the most watched tournament, the women's tournament. Who Iowa and South Carolina made it to the championship, which I think Iowa might have been a slight surprise to some people, but obviously South Carolina was not. They were undefeated all season. They were fantastic all season. Uh, their point differential was crazy against everyone except for, I think, LSU was the only team that had close games with them throughout
Mhm.
the regular season at least. And they were pretty dominant throughout this tournament too. There was a couple games where it kind of went down to the last quarter, but They looked pretty dominant. Dominant. Don Staley was fantastic as a coach throughout the whole tournament. Also, you just saw the adjustments she made. Most of her adjustments are lineup adjustments, but she made the right adjustments, and they defended Caitlin Clark pretty well. She started the first quarter out with 18 points, and then only finished, I think, 7 points for the rest of the 3 quarters. Solid.
I don't
Little
know if you
defensive matchup switch.
I don't know if you saw the Final Four game, UConn and Iowa was like the most watched basketball game ever.
Mm-hmm.
It had like 14, 15 million views at one point.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yep. Yep. Iowa, Caitlin Clark gets eyes on the game. That one, and it was the Elite Eight one, the Iowa and LSU, the rematch from last year's championship. That, I think that was 12 million views. Also, that was the most watched at that point, and then it got more and more to the championship. So, yeah, man, a lot of talent, a lot of great games. I think a lot of these teams are showing bright futures for their programs. South Carolina has a lot of players coming back. NC State lost to South Carolina in the Final Four. They have players coming back. UConn, everybody's back.
USC, obviously.
Yeah, USC is young. Their best player is young. Texas was young. They were Elite Eight. So it's a lot of teams that are going to be good for a while. But we do have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese going to the draft. Camila Cardoso for South Carolina going to the draft. So WBA is going to have a lot of talent coming in as well.
And I love that like Caitlin Clark has been the catalyst, but it's been opening people's eyes to the level of talent in the girls' game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that to me, man, I'm happy for them. So happy.
Yep. Hopefully it carries on in the college game, because I know a lot of people are going to want to just follow Caitlin to the WNBA, but like you said, people who got to see some of the talent at the college level, just in these last few games, Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins, Madison Booker, and all those girls going into next season. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Where do you want to start with the NBA?
Let's talk about
our team.
We should talk about the play-in first. I feel like
play-in. Okay, let's get it.
Preview the play-in.
Play-in has not fully been determined yet at this point. At the point of this recording,
got to get these standings out because it's a toss-up right now.
Yeah, and I think this is the cool thing about the play-in, that you really do have to play into the last game. And I don't know if they even designed it this well, but it's great for this, because teams like Indiana, Orlando, and Philly are all tied games behind, but they really do have to play into the last game to see who gets in that play-in tournament, who's at risk of being eliminated, or who's safe with the 5 and 6 spots. And that's just the East. In the West, it's New Orleans and Phoenix basically battling for who's going to be 6 or 7, depending on their tie break, which I don't remember who has the tie break there, but they're battling. And they have been for the past 2 weeks, basically, up and down, up and down, up and down. So, but we do have, just one that's already determined? Chicago and Atlanta?
Chicago-Atlanta is set.
How do you feel about that?
You know what's funny about this matchup? We've been pretty... Since the play-in has been created, it's been unanimously flawless. Like, I haven't... You just talked about how it kind of, without even them intending it, makes the season better.
Yeah.
Not in this case, to me.
I know.
To me, the
Yeah.
East could go in with the top 8 and be completely okay. No play-in.
Yeah, because I mean the Bulls made it the first year, right? Very first year, and then
Yeah.
Milwaukee beat them really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do
Someone called
like
this
the
the
structure
Bulls.
of the play-in makes it clear that these teams got to work harder to get in. I do like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, does anybody honestly care who wins this game?
I heard someone yesterday call it the Bulls Hawks Invitational.
I mean, the Hawks are playing veterans at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have they missed the play-in? I don't think so.
Uh. Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah.
Maybe the first. I can't even look back to the first year, but the last 2 years they've been right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, I'm picking the Hawks because they're actually a team that's getting healthy. Trae Young is back.
Trae Young is back.
I think that was the guy we forgot. But
Jalen Johnson is back too. He had been hurt too.
yeah, but to me, both of these teams are like random messes that you really can't trust.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where to me Atlanta's experience actually shines. Like I think Atlanta is dangerous in a play-in setting against anybody
Yeah, they are. They definitely are.
because they're very explosive scoring and they'll have like an accidental game, I guess, where the right guys will take, more shots and get more touches.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I know Chicago won't play to their strengths. Like I
What is
know
their
that.
strengths?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
Like
Mid range?
I know Atlanta benefits if they play in transition.
Yeah.
I don't know that Chicago benefits from that. For what? Like
Yeah.
what is the benefit there? They might take more bad shots. They might get back on defense worse as the game progresses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I trust Chicago's struggles more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
To me, I
It,
mean,
it,
Atlanta has kind of fallen off, but Chicago
uh-huh.
has like no business being in any playoff conversation.
Right.
It's a
Especially with
miracle they're here.
their second best player hurt. Atlanta also has like, I think, and this isn't a praise of Quinn Snyder. This is more of a praise of their roster. I think that they have the ability to switch how they're playing like mid game. Like I think Trey is smart enough, DeJounte is smart enough that if they're getting blitzed, they could play a different way. One of them can play more on ball, the other one doesn't have to. They could ramp up their defense. I think they just have a lot of things they can change mid game. Oh, they're not guarding the three that well. Trey's going to take more threes. Oh, they're pressuring far from the basket. Trey's getting into the paint. DeJounte gets to the paint, and you just have a rough night no matter what. And they just have a lot of ways they can win. And they have pretty good shooters that can still spread the floor. Yeah. With Chicago, it's just their fallback is just DeRozan taking over, which works at some time. So honestly, sometimes it's a positive thing, but in a play-in situation where they'll have to win 2 games,
You see, this is the difference between these two teams. When Trae Young is taking over for Atlanta, let's throw out a name I don't like. DeAndre Hunter isn't taking shots when Trae Young is taking over.
Mm-hmm.
You just said their fallback. Chicago's fallback is DeMar DeRozan taking shots. You know who's also taking shots during this time by default? Fucking this Vucevic as usual. So it's like Chicago doesn't even get away from the things they do poorly.
Yeah.
They just they roll through full steam ahead.
Yeah, and the tough thing is when Vucevic does that, he's not playing off DeRozan. He's like, oh, we're on a run. Let me add to the run by like trying to get an ISO. But when Trey is taking over, DeJounte's taking over. They're taking over is like 30 and 12 assists. Yeah. So like when they take over, it's Trey's doing something. DeAndre cuts to the basket. It's a dunk. It's not a give it like I'm getting pressured. Give it to DeAndre and you like work out. You know, it's not like that. So yeah, they have definitely a more efficient way of adjusting.
Like, to me, if Atlanta wins, we could have a conversation about them potentially going to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's not winning 2 games. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're not beating either of the any
they're
of the
not
3.
Winning, that's maybe they get lucky and DeRozan goes crazy. It could happen. Kobe White has had a great year. It could happen.
Yeah.
Caruso's very competitive. Sometimes he'll just make so many plays, like it'll just put them in good spots. But there's nothing to like really see positively from Chicago.
Let me ask you this. So if you have Atlanta winning.
Yes.
Let's say, regardless of who you have winning, if it's Atlanta or Chicago, which team of the 7-8 do you think is more at risk of losing? Orlando, Indiana, Philly, or Miami?
Indy.
Of losing 2 games. Well, Indy. I guess not Miami, but Orlando, Indiana, or Philly.
If I had to pick one, I think Indy's the most at risk.
That could lose 2 games in a row?
Yes.
Okay.
Because honestly, outside of Chicago, they're the most predictable team of the list, of the group.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, and maybe to me it's kind of like, I'll word it a little differently. Atlanta's supporting cast can be dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
In different ways. Like sometimes they shoot well. There are times where some of their guys will surprise you and defend well. Every time there's an eclipse, which just happened, Bogdanovich is like a good playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But Indiana doesn't have that. Like Indiana's guys will run, they'll shoot, maybe they'll shoot well, you know, maybe they'll get some cuts, but there's no dynamic to them having a significant impact.
Yeah, they have no wild cards on their team at all.
And
they're very
to me, the 2 guys that had the potential to be that is Mathurin, who's out,
mm-hmm.
and Naismith, who's been hurt. Who I'm not even sure if he's back, but he's not 100% when I saw him a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like such a key contributor for them. It's important if he's not going into the playoffs healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see the, you know, if Indiana loses that first game, what do they do differently?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I think both those teams make up a hypothetical change for every other team.
I think both those teams, Chicago and Atlanta, are both bad matchups for Indiana. So, and all the other teams are. So, yeah.
Yeah, the matchups for these teams, the matchups to me aren't important, like especially in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really going to come down to them taking good shots, like getting the right guys the ball, and just kind of living and dying by that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't like Indiana's chances of having to win 2 games if they're struggling.
Yeah.
Or having to win 1 of 2 games.
Well, one reason why I say particularly for them, it's a bad matchup because, like, Atlanta specifically, they're not going to have any mismatches. They're going to be matched at each position pretty much. I guess Siakam, but like Miles Turner and Clint Capella is a wash, and Murray is going to strap. He's not going to let Halliburton have 40, 50 in a game. I mean, I wouldn't expect that. So That's just a really, I mean, unless they're going to ride Siakam, which for some reason they haven't done enough, in my opinion, this season since they got him. So,
Yeah, that's again,
yeah,
Indiana has a really good front court, and we don't know that,
right.
and that bothers me. Like that to me is I can't really trust you, if especially if guys aren't shooting well.
Hmm. Yeah.
But what do you think
All
about
right.
the 7-8? Let's go. Let's talk about the two right now. It's Philly, Miami. That would be probably the most interesting two teams to face off.
So is Miami locked there?
I don't know that they are because there's no
Okay.
way they don't have at least one of these tiebreakers.
Yeah, I would think they do have at least
If
one.
Miami's 0-3 on these tiebreakers, then yeah, they're locked. But that would be hilarious.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, that's true. They could be, but all three of them would have to lose for Miami to get out of the eight, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so they're in the eight.
Essentially
They
locked.
could
Yeah.
get to seven, but I feel like they're definitely in the eight. So, um,
And honestly,
or I guess at least two of them would have to lose, and Miami would have to have both tiebreakers.
mean, we could assess Miami right now. Anything could happen next.
Yeah, yeah.
Miami's another
Uh,
play-in veteran that has come within a possession of not going to the playoffs to finals. So
right.
I really can't assess Miami at least till the playoffs start.
Yeah. If I'm Orlando, I'm desperately trying to get out of being in the play-in. I think to me, Indiana is the most at risk of losing both games, but Orlando for me is most at risk of losing the first game. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Like if Orlando loses the first game, I have confidence they'd win the second one. But if Indiana loses it, I don't have confidence they win the second one.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
if Orlando gets to that 7 or 8, I think they're definitely in danger of the first one, losing the first one because um, Philly and Miami both, if they're there, uh,
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm picking
I'm
them over
I'm
Orlando
I'm buying the Orlando stock
in the playoff, like for the play-in and in the
for the play.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, as you're saying it, I think I'm with you. Like, if they could avoid the play-in, they should.
yeah.
But for me, I think it's better for them to have to struggle to get in.
Why is that?
They
Just to
got
be
no
more
playoff
battle tested.
experience. I mean, they have a little. Some of their role players are pretty tested, but
Yeah,
Gary Harris and Joe Ingles, like, no offense to those guys, that's not enough.
they're not gonna have any impact in the series.
Yeah, yeah. So to me, Orlando like really needs to see their emerging players under pressure.
Yeah,
And
that's
to
fair.
me, think about it. If they go to the playoffs and get washed by, let's say right now it's Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Maybe because Cleveland is not healthy, it would be a little disappointing. But nobody's expecting Orlando to beat Donovan.
Right.
But if they go to the play-in and flame out, lose twice, then their year is kind of a disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, like the play-in pressure, I think benefits them and kind of gives them a better understanding of if they're ready for the playoffs or not.
That's fair. That's a fair way to look
I
at it,
really
I
like
think.
what I've seen from them. I just have no idea how it's going to translate.
Yeah, I agree. I
Just
agree.
so many young wild cards. Like, I mean, can you tell me what to expect from Jalen Suggs in the playoffs?
Nope.
I mean, I don't even know if is he gonna be healthy to play? Is he starting? Is he coming off the bench? Like, is he their leader? He's got like 7 assignments sometimes.
Yeah. It, yeah, they're a rough team for. To your point, they're a rough team for the playoffs because you're right. There's really no one I can guarantee anything from other than
Exactly.
like them playing hard. If
Right.
Suggs is healthy, I know he's going to play really hard. But other than that, I don't know what really that even consists of.
Yeah.
You know, so
But I do think,
yeah, I could buy that.
like, looking at the middle of specifically New York and Cleveland, the second half of the year have had, struggles maintaining a consistent roster because of injuries.
Hmm.
Orlando, they've had role players in and out, but their main core has been essentially there.
Yeah, yeah,
So they've had the continuity, they've had the progression. Like, in my opinion, they're ready for the playoffs.
yeah. I think so.
And I'm excited to see it. So I think they're okay either way, but there is a lot more pressure on them if they're in the play-in.
Yeah, I think I'm more confident in them having a good performance in a series than in
Really?
the one game playing, especially if it's against like Philly or Miami.
Okay.
If it was against Indiana, I wouldn't worry that much, but Philly or Miami, and then they really have to buckle down and win that second game. So, um,
Just
yeah,
I'm excited, man, because Orlando is kind of flown under the radar all year.
they did. They had that really long winning stretch,
Yeah,
and then
early
after
in the
that,
year.
yeah, I think it was like 12 in a row or something like that, and then they kind of
Hmm.
slowed down. Um, and I do think they did have, like you said, just a lot of role guys in and out, and a couple of injury scares where they thought it might be more
Yeah.
serious than it was. I think Franz had one. They thought he might have had some like more structural damage, and he really didn't.
I mean,
Something like that. But
they've had guys getting healthy that have been missing for years. You know, Jonathan Isaac was
yeah,
is recovering from the bubble. Like, that was 3 years ago. you know,
more feels like
Markel
more now.
Fultz is just getting back. Like, it's those
Yeah,
guys were MIA for years.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of their really young guys have been getting a lot of play and really getting a lot of
Hmm.
experience. Like
Yeah,
Anthony Black playing as much as he's been playing now. Like I feel confident him being out there more than some other rookies on better teams.
yeah. I'm excited, man.
He's
Their
gotten a
their
lot of
depth
court
is
time.
really good. Bancaro is due to put kind of the NBA fan base on notice.
Yeah, he is.
Because I think he's had the ability to put up, the top like 10, 15 stats, but
Yeah,
he's been like playing within the team very well.
yeah, yes.
So I'm excited to see them.
Do you have any doubt Miami's gonna move on?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay.
I've seen Jimmy Butler like a total of 4 times this year.
Yeah, me too. And they've
I
been like nationally televised games.
Jimmy tries every year to make me forget how he plays. Like, he misses so much time.
Hmm.
So I have no idea what to expect from Miami. Like, none.
How do you feel about Philadelphia coming into this?
Philly's tough because it should be easy for them. Like,
For me, I think it's zero chance they lose the second game. Zero.
if if
They
they
they may
lose
lose
two
this
games,
first one.
their
Yeah,
season's a failure.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
I mean, because to one of those teams is you just should not lose that,
hmm,
But with Philly, their offense has been kind of weird. Like,
hmm,
the second half of the year, some of it was Embiid out, other guys were out,
yeah,
but like the praise I had for Tobias Harris gone. He's reverted back to the fucking nonsense. I'm 6'9", being guarded by a 6'2" guy, and I'm looking to get a pull-up jumper. Tobias, you have a post game.
Yeah, this is while Embiid was out, you're saying?
Yeah. Especially the last month without Embiid. But Maxey being in and out is really noticeable.
Yeah.
Like they struggle to get good shots, and when Maxey's playing, it doesn't even seem like they're depending on him to get them. But for some reason, he's not out there, and now I guess maybe I haven't seen them enough to pinpoint why. But their offense is a lot more stagnant than I thought it would be.
Yeah, they haven't. When Embiid's not there, they don't really have a go-to guy. And when I say go-to guy, I don't mean he has to be an all-star or the best player, in the East.
Oubre's been fine.
Tobias isn't a go-to guy, but they need someone who, if I give him the ball, he can make anything happen. And at the time, for a lot of the times Embiid was out, and the few times Maxey was out also, they had their best guys out there were Batum. D'Anthony Melton was hurt for a lot of this time also. I think he just came back. Kelly Oubre was their best player and the only guy who really could do something.
For weeks.
Yeah, so that's really tough if that's what you got. You got Kyle Lowry and Kelly Oubre is your dynamic duo with Tobias as your third of your big three, which that's just not going to work for a long stretch, and that's why they ended up losing a lot of games. A lot of these games without Embiid, but now Embiid is back and he looks really, really good. He looks like he took his time.
But I worry that they look stagnant now. They're struggling to integrate him. They've been getting used to playing faster and faster without him. Now we got to slow everything down. It's the same. They're leading to the same issues they've had in the playoffs in past years.
Do you think that? That will give them more versatility to play Joel less? Do you think that will help Joel Embiid's minutes? His load, lighten his load.
I hope so.
That they have a lineup that can go faster without him on the court and that can be successful?
I would think Nick Nurse has to see this.
Yeah.
He has to he's been kind of trying with Embiid. They were becoming a Nick Nurse team and without him, it's been kind of a disaster. And hopefully he's smart enough to really see there is a balance between playing through Embiid too much and really allowing this supporting cast to cook.
Yeah, and their supporting cast,
is capable
with some of the moves, and has gotten better. Now fully healthy, they'll have Batum, Buddy Hield, Cam Payne, D'Anthony Melton, Paul Reed, who's been fantastic while Embiid was out, and KJ Martin, who's been good for them.
Yeah,
who they've actually been using. That's a solid second six.
That's why I think Philly might. I don't see them winning this first game comfortably. If they do win it, I think it's going to be a struggle.
Okay.
And I think even if they lose, that'll kind of give them that jolt to really figure out, kind of where the struggle is, where they're kind of stagnant.
Yeah.
But they're probably the team that's that I'm least expecting to play their best in that first playing game.
But you're acknowledging they could win not playing their best.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's why, to me, if Embiid, like you said, Embiid has been patient enough that he should wrap this up in the first game just for the extra day for himself.
Yeah.
And they should be fine.
Okay. Let's go to the West now. So
that's been a gauntlet.
Dallas is safe. Yeah, Dallas is safe.
Yes, they are
New
locked
Orleans,
into 5-4.
right. Right. Sacramento, Golden State, and LA are still in jeopardy for, um, I guess, 8, 9, and 10. But they will be 8, 9, and 10. But where they are in the 8, 9, and 10 is still up in the air. Phoenix and New Orleans are still battling for the 6 and 7 spots. So knowing Golden State, Sacramento, LA are there, who are you most confident to get the 8th spot? This is a tough one.
I can't pick. I have no confidence in these teams. I'll tell you now.
Any of the three?
Yeah,
To only
they've
win
let
2
me
games?
down multiple times this year.
To only win 2 games?
Yes.
One of them has to win it. So, like, who do you think will win it?
Convince
Only
me.
one of them.
I'm assuming you're picking the Warriors.
I'm always picking the Warriors.
Make the case. Make the case that you could trust them to win these next 2. Didn't they just get their ass whooped like yesterday or the day before?
They beat Portland, but it was a close game.
Who did they just lost to somebody they shouldn't have, I swear.
Yeah, they did just lose, but I don't remember who it was.
It might have been.
Let me put it this way:
should have,
but first of all, it was New Orleans. They lost to New Orleans last night.
Okay, acceptable loss.
That's
I take that back.
Yeah, and New Orleans was playing harder because they were playing to not be in the play-in, and Golden State can't get out of the play-in, so they were just playing. I mean, I think they wanted to win, but it didn't matter as much to them as it did to New Orleans. I'll tell you, I don't think Sacramento has a chance out of the 3. I'll start there. LA, Golden State and LA have been in this conversation probably like for at least a third of the season now. Like the back third of the season, who are you confident to make it out? Who's going to be in the play-in? Who's not? They're both in the play-in, so I just think Golden State is finding something in their depth. I think they're finding a rhythm. I think they're moving the ball really well. I think I just like that Golden State is playing more with more identity than LA. In LA, they still are kind of just relying on who's hot tonight, and I think that's kind of a tough thing to do for 2 games. It's a tough thing to do in any kind of playoff atmosphere, even the play in. But just saying, hey, let's see if D'Angelo's feeling it tonight, and then he takes 25 shots, and whether he is or he isn't. Let's see if Austin Reeves is feeling it. He takes 18 shots, whether he is or isn't feeling it. And then, LeBron is just out there carrying them no matter what. I don't know. It's just I don't believe in that kind of game planning from Darvin Ham and the Lakers and LeBron.
We honestly could spend the entire episode talking about this season that the Lakers and Warriors have had.
Yeah, we could.
And I think half the episode could be the parallels of inconsistency. Now, they're different as far as like what they struggle, what they can't do consistently. Mm-hmm. But both of these teams have been like dedicated to being inconsistent. Almost.
They have.
Which
on both ends.
Fucking sense. But
on both ends.
I can't even explain. You make the point about the Warriors. The Warriors at their best look much better than the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
But just like LeBron and AD at their best look like the best duo in basketball.
Yeah. So which one is more rare? I mean, which one happens more often?
Oh, the Warriors for sure.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
I also believe in the Lakers sustaining LeBron and AD playing well. I saw it in the playoffs last year.
When you say sustaining, you mean in a series or
Yeah,
in?
in anything, a game,
Okay.
series, like they'll
Yeah.
even if they're not playing well, they'll be able to dominate more than anyone else.
Yeah. Okay.
The Warriors, it's still like, to me, it's been a mirage. They're good play the second half of the year, and maybe I'm hating again. Like I hated on them last year. I'm kind of, in hindsight, I'm more mad at that Sacramento lost Game 7,
Uh
because
huh.
if they win that, we're not looking at the Warriors like they're like close and they just haven't had a good year.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
me, the
I
Warriors
believe that.
are. I think there's a chance they don't make it out into the playoffs.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's definitely a chance.
To me, Sacramento has the most chance, and then the rest of these teams are even to me. There's no separation of like, oh, I trust the Warriors to play well. I trust D
Whoa, whoa,
Book to
whoa.
get 50 as much as I trust the Warriors to play well.
Wait a second. So you think Sacramento can win the first game and win against Phoenix or New Orleans?
No, no, no. Sacramento is likely done.
Oh, okay.
Every
Okay.
other team it's a 50-50 toss up to me. Maybe I could give
Right.
New Orleans a boost because they're getting healthy,
Mm-hmm.
which is another solar eclipse. But, they are getting healthy, which makes them very dangerous going into the playoffs or the play-in.
Yeah.
But the Warriors, to me, it's all jump shots. It's all inexperienced guys contributing to their good defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's Klay Thompson one game looking like it's 2016 again. And then the other game I don't notice him there.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul is as invisible as like I could fathom. Kuminga has come back. I before Kuminga got hurt, I loved how they were starting to play through him.
Yeah. Since then, I don't know what is going on with. I
He's
don't
back to the
understand how they're
same
using him.
nonsense. He's like the like hide in the corner, like 3-point specialist. Listen, I have
Yeah.
one thing in the last month that I've seen that makes the Warriors, that I could give somewhat of a case for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is again another. I might be calling out a lot of eclipses today, a lot of rare occurrences.
Uh-huh.
Wiggins has looked good.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wiggins has looked
He
good,
does.
and we've seen if Wiggins is right, they're as dangerous as ever.
Yeah.
But I can't trust it.
He's looked good, but he really hasn't been like efficient. He's just been aggressive, which
But he's been
sometimes
like
is all they
he's
need from him.
engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like him and Kuminga have both been taking the defensive assignments more. They've
Yeah.
played alongside each other a little bit more. But I really don't trust any of the young guys. They've played well, but I don't trust that. I mean,
You mean the guys younger than Kaminga, like the really young guys?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Lester, Kionis, the white
Gee
dude.
Santos,
Uh, I do like
Brandon
Jackson Davis.
Podziemski.
I love Jackson Davis. I
Yeah.
love, but like
Yeah, he's
he's
played great.
limited
He's
in what
hungry.
he's gonna give them.
Right. Just dunks and blocks and
Right.
fouls.
Right. It's like there are so many X factors. First of all, Draymond might get tossed. Like that's still just as much of a risk as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Or he might go crazy and hit 5 threes.
But I mean, that's not even a risk anymore because they've won championships with that.
I'm exaggerating the Warriors' highs and lows, but their
Yeah.
lows have been as bad as the Lakers.
Well, let me say this about the Lakers. at this point in the season, I don't think anybody on the Lakers other than D'Angelo, LeBron, Reeves, and AD, other than those four players, no one else is going to have any impact on winning or losing the game. Like, absolutely zero. I
Rui
think
might sneak in
the only
there.
person who might... Who?
Rui sometimes sneaks in there.
Right. I was going to say the only one who might would be Rui Hachimura. He's the only other one that might have an impact because he did last year. But everyone else... Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Jackson Hayes, they're finally using him. Taurean Prince, I mean, I don't even know if Taurean Prince is healthy anymore. Maybe he is, I just haven't seen him out there. Christian Wood, Vanderbilt, is he back yet, Vanderbilt?
No, I haven't seen him.
None of those guys are going to determine
Prince
anything.
Has been back.
Prince is back. None of those guys are going to determine anything in the game. Absolutely nothing. And I think that's one thing that makes me more confident in the Warriors because even though I agree with you, you can't really trust any of those guys. Even little things that they do help determine the game much more than anything the other Lakers guys do.
Right.
Like Gary Payton can have 6 points and could be the reason they won the game.
You're right.
And us in a way. Pajemski, he can come in and have like a really good quarter. Moses Moody can come in and have a really good quarter that like really changes the outcome of the game. I don't feel that way about anybody on LA other than, like I said, the main four players.
It's because I'm so concerned with the lows I've seen from the Warriors that I'm forgetting between these two teams the worst low of them all. Darwin Ham. Darwin Ham is the worst coach going into the playoffs.
Yeah, he is.
Darwin Ham. If there's a basketball god, the Lakers are missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's getting fired. Like, hopefully that something that extreme will get him fired right away.
Did you see the rumor that they had the team had voted for him to be fired earlier in the season? Like it came out. I just read it like maybe this morning.
No.
Yeah, they voted for him to be fired and for Phil Handy.
They tried to do what the Bucks did, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Lakers are. This is another example, Tyler. Our podcast history. I have tried to convince you of how dog shit this organization has been, and they keep proving me right. They keep proving me right at every turn.
Do you think they should have fired Vogel in the first place?
Of course not. Of course not.
Okay.
But it's like the writing is so on the wall.
Yeah. So honestly, are you convinced?
Looking back on Adrian Griffin getting fired, Adrian Griffin was a Coach of the Year candidate compared to Darwin Ham.
He was Coach of the Year candidate.
Right.
Literally he was.
Literally he was.
So did I convince you of the Warriors?
Yes.
So between Phoenix and New Orleans, if Phoenix stays in the 7, do you think they keep the 7?
Yeah, I guess so.
So if it's how it is right now, Phoenix and LA, you got Phoenix?
Oh no, LA is winning that.
Okay, gotcha. I agree. I think LA would win that.
I'll be honest with you. I've been kind of putting Sacramento aside as the worst team of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix is right there.
Yeah, they are.
Phoenix, based on the last 2 months, they're not on the level of the Warriors or the Lakers.
No, they're not.
And the Pelicans, forget the flaws. The Pelicans just defensively are night and day better than the other three teams.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So to me, like if Pelicans lose two somehow, get in the play-in and lose 2, it's a disaster.
To
Phoenix
me,
to me should too.
out of all these teams, the Pelicans have the best chance of actually winning the first round.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it'll be New Orleans and Denver if it is how it is right now. Yeah,
Phoenix
they're the best chance.
Phoenix is gross.
Phoenix is really bad.
I mean,
Really
Sacramento was like they were falling off, but the injuries have kind of given them an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And Sacramento was inconsistent start to finish of the year, really. So you really not really fair to call it a fall off from last year, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
Phoenix has had like the we're figuring it out trajectory to then go back to actually we haven't figured anything out because nobody cares.
And that's happened like 4 times this season.
I mean,
like they'll win 3 games in a row, and people were like, "Oh, Phoenix is finally getting it together," and then they'll lose 2 games in a row to like Portland and Toronto, and then
I went off.
Like, never mind.
I went off on Jason Tatum, and I went as far as to say he's not top 10.
Yeah,
but these 2 guys, man, D-Book and KD, like people gotta start looking at their actual impact.
Yeah. They won't.
The season has gone on. This team has needed them to emerge as leaders in any way, in any leadership positive way. Please, anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they've like doubled down on their own selfishness. Their shot selection has gotten worse.
Yeah.
Their playmaking has gotten worse.
Yeah.
D-Book has given up trying to take care of the ball.
Yeah, and the worst part is, like, in a vacuum, you could chalk that up to a lot of different things, but when you look around the league and you see the other players, their peers that have taken control of their of this season's destiny for their teams, like the Donovan Mitchells who went on like what was it, 14 out of 16 game streak to keep them in contention. You see Brunson, who's been going crazy, keeping his team in contention. The Bucks are missing one of their big 3 players every night, and they're staying with it. Anthony Edwards, the cat goes down. He takes control of the team, takes over, keeps them going. Luka and Kyrie have done exactly what they needed to do, stepping up as leaders to get Dallas, keep Dallas in the 5 spot. Like even a couple weeks ago, we were talking about them being in the play-in. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the only people who really haven't done that for their team is Book and KD.
And of course, their stats aren't falling off. The shot attempts haven't fallen off. Oh, God forbid. God forbid KD doesn't get his daily source of mid-range pull-ups.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even mention Jalen Green, who over the past month has went crazy trying to get Houston into the play-in. You've seen him take leadership on that team, which most people, including me, thought would never happen for him. And they haven't even done that.
Bro, even the bad teams have like picked up their play to earn some respect.
Phoenix has not earned respect.
Like Detroit has started winning games. The Spurs have been competitive. Wemby has like specifically played this last month to be out there for the fans. Charlotte has been competitive, barely. Even who am I missing? Even Jordan Poole has been playing well.
He's been playing great. San Antonio's been eliminated.
An actual point guard.
San Antonio and Washington have been eliminated for like 2 months, and those guys are still celebrating after every win. They're still going down to the wire. Just last night, Wemby threw the ball on the ground after the game and screamed into the crowd. Like, that's the intensity we want. Phoenix doesn't have any of that at all. San Antonio's season is over.
Bad. I feel so bad for the role players. Like, Royce O'Neal is being held back because he's a guy.
Cooking.
If he plays with like guys who are competing and battling, he's right there.
Yeah.
When he's playing with guys who take bad shots, don't make extra passes, and just stand around, he's doing the same shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're finding... Bro, it's been so bad. They're finding ways for Grayson Allen to take bad shots.
I know, he's kind of fallen off.
The worst aspects of KD and Book are now translating to teammates where Bradley Beal stands around more often. Nurkic thinks he's like their best player again more often. Like, why?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, by the way, while all this is going on, nobody guards, nobody helps, nobody rebounds. Nurkic, for his own stats, rebounds. That's it.
Nurkic might be the worst help defending center in the league. Like, if you get by your man, you got to lay up if Nurkic is out there.
For sure.
Easy one.
For sure.
Or you're dunking on him.
Matchup
because he's not going to jump.
Every elite center could give Nurkic 30.
Yeah.
Including the guys that don't like to get 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bam, for example. Or like a Miles Turner likes it. He just doesn't really shoot a lot.
Right.
But all these guys, like, Phoenix has already a ton of, on paper analysis flaws.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going into the playoffs with no leadership, no focus, no attention to detail. Frank Vogel has aged another half decade in a year. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's such a mess.
Yeah.
And Tyler,
I don't know how he does
guess
it.
Guess what the remedy is to try to maybe salvage some of this disgusting play. Sign Isaiah Thomas for the rest of the season. For what? Like, what the fuck? Idea. Why? What is that?
They should have signed Tony Snell so he could get his retirement thing.
Thank you.
If they were going to just sign random guys.
If you're just signing a guy to warm the fucking bench, do somebody a solid that needs it.
Yeah. They actually played Thaddeus Young. Like, he gets in the games.
I'm done. They pass him the ball. They can't pass Bradley Beal the ball, but fucking Thaddeus Young, go to work.
Thaddeus Young was minus 13 a couple games ago.
Look.
In 3 minutes.
Phoenix, like Sacramento, I've been disappointed with their play.
Yeah.
Phoenix is just disgusting. Like, they're unwatchable.
Bro, Thaddeus Young was minus 10 in 8 minutes and minus 13 in 3 minutes. How is that possible? How is that possible? He didn't even take a shot.
I can't, dude. I can't with this team. This team, they are making Frank Vogel look inept.
I know.
That whole coaching staff is sitting there looking dumb as hell every game because they're not on the same page with the star players who do whatever the fuck they want.
David Fizdale's used to it.
Dude, KD's disgusting leadership needs to be studied.
It does.
Going to the greatest leader in basketball to then double down on all his worst attributes as a leader is like incomprehensible to me.
Him leaving the Warriors was an attack on his leadership in the first place. Like, it was a major notch against his leadership. In the last game they won. They beat Sacramento yesterday.
I watched
Book and KD were both net negatives in that game. Your two best players cannot. I mean, you can win it, obviously, but for those who don't like play basketball a lot or don't understand the stats, your two best players being net negative usually is like a blowout loss. Like that very rarely happens in
Sacramento
wins.
blew the game. Like clear as day, just stopped defending, stopped taking the
Yeah,
good shots that were, had them in control and just gave the game.
yeah.
And it was Nurkic that took it, by the way, not fucking KD and Book.
Yeah, obviously. Book was -4 and KD was minus. No, Book was -1 and KD was -4. Book had 5 fouls. KD was -14 against the Clippers, and they won by 20 points. How does that happen? That means it's really not your help that we're winning.
That means your supporting cast is cooking. You're holding them back.
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing to me. This collection of not a good collection of players is having a phenomenal year.
Probably the best year for most of them.
And it's going to be fucking wasted by mid-range pull-ups.
Mm-hmm. Contested ones too.
I like mid-range. I like the mid-range. I like the scoring. These two guys make it look so selfish.
I don't know what Durant has against like layups. I wish there was like a game where Durant just went out and said, "I'm only getting dunks and layups this game."
Durant has he's starting to develop like a fucking dribble quota. KD, you just space the floor. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. It's like they'll show moments when the game could be easy, and it'll fade away and disappear and never come back.
Yep. Okay. Anything else we have right now pressing? Next time we'll talk about the actual playoff matchups. You have anything else you want to talk about as far as this goes?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered all the teams. I'm just excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay. So every year we do this, and we don't always highlight it, but for a long time, the NBA's had the Sixth Man of the Year, obviously. Very coveted award for bench players to go for. I guess they're really not considered bench players, the guys who normally win it, the Lou Williams, Jamal Crawfords, Manu Ginobili's, those guys. But sometimes, I came up with this list years ago because, me and Mike always felt that it's hard for the other bench guys to get any recognition. Some guys just are never going to be Sixth Man of the Year. And some guys play more than others. Some guys are just different kind of contributors than others. So the Sixth Man of the Year is a tough award to get and get more than once, especially because a lot of times if you're that good off the bench, you end up starting on other teams. But we wanted to honor the other bench guys by having an all-bench team. And I'm only saying this for listeners who haven't been here like last year because we did this last year also. So me and Mike compiled a list of our first team and second team all bench. Starting at guard, TJ McConnell and Malik Monk are two backcourts. Norman Powell.
Monk has been... I know he's hurt, and it's tough because he's gonna be out. Maybe I don't know his timeline. Maybe if they make a run, which they won't, he comes back. But he's such an exciting player.
So exciting.
I can't even. It has nothing to do with the team. He's almost an individual entity on Sacramento to me.
Mm-hmm. Because
sometimes he takes such control, and his ability to make shots that I don't even know how he gets off sometimes. I'm just watching. I'm like, why is Sacramento even? Why do they just feed him? Forget playing actual basketball. Just find the guy who's unstoppable.
Yeah, he really is unstoppable. He gets dunks when you don't think he can dunk it. He gets threes and layups off that you don't think he's open for, or there's just not enough body control for him to get off, and he still gets him off, and it looks amazing. He is a highlight every single game.
And he's such a top tier athlete. Like, people kind of sleep on that.
Yeah.
But he's such a freak athlete. He makes like highlight plays all the time just off of that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Our front court players: Norman Powell, Bobby Portis, and Naz Reid at the center. Other than Monk, you have anything to say about these other guys?
McConnell, I think, has been. It's surprising how much impact he's had on their second unit.
Yeah.
But he's just such a competitor. Like, it's not even really him. He's been like this to me. Like, Philly, he was doing this in Philly. They just weren't maximizing it, I think. And they didn't really need to maximize it. Like, Indiana is more dependent on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think anyone has needed it as much as Indiana.
Yeah, and his contrast with Halliburton, I really love.
I like that too.
It's not always perfect, but I just love how different they are, how they seem to understand that. They also like occasionally play well together a little bit. So he's just such a good team guy.
He is, and since Mathurin has went out, he's really stepped up. He's scored more points. He's moved the ball better. I mean, his playmaking has been on full display since Mathurin went out, because Mathurin really was the go-to guy of the second unit, and he was really their sixth man. And I think Nembhard had spent some time as that too, but they moved him to the start, and after they traded Buddy.
And you feel really like they've developed more of a trust in TJ over the course of the year.
Yeah, yep. And he secured them a lot of wins this second half of the year. Yeah. Bobby Portis, he's emerged as like their, like, on a lot of nights he's their third of their big three for Milwaukee. Especially when Middleton, is injured or just coming back from injury. Bobby has stepped up. I mean, he's been this for Milwaukee for a few years. He's really due for a sixth man of the year. I don't think he's going to win it, or he's even up for it, because big men normally don't win that award. But it comes to guys coming off the bench making a really big impact. Bobby's come in and been the best defender on the team at times, most hungry player on the team at times. So shout out to Bobby. Naz Reid has stepped up since Cat has went out. Stepped up, held it down. Really,
and I told you last year. I told you last year how important Naz Reid was for them.
Yeah, you did. And I mean, I didn't get to see them much, but this year, I mean, he's been killing it. And his versatility lets them play a different way. I mean, I guess it's similar to Cat's, but he's a little bit. I think he's stronger than Cat in a lot of ways, so he kind of can do a little more inside.
He also has like a better feel. Better feel might be harsh, but like he's much more inside out or outside in. Like Cat will get stuck sometimes either one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Naz Reid, there's always a good balance between him trying to get to the rim and him spacing the floor.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So that's the first team. Shout out to Norman Powell too. We didn't say anything, but
yeah, he's been a bench six-man candidate for a few years now.
Yep. So second team all bench. Backcourt: Cole Anthony, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We got two from Minnesota. Karis LeVert at the three, and down low Andre Drummond and Walker Kessler. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, man. Talk about someone I have never liked in the NBA. Not for a single game I haven't liked Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Really until this year, where I really see, he's someone that shows his value all the time. Like every game, he's worked on his shot. He's hitting big shots every night. He guards one of the best guards on the other team every night, just so Anthony Edwards doesn't have to. Maybe McDaniels sometimes is a little bit too big, maybe not as agile enough to guard some of the guards. Because Alexander Walker goes out there and he plays hard all the time. So shout out to him. I've given him a lot of hate, so I kind of owed him one too.
Yeah, and I really like that they've trusted him to develop this year.
They have, yeah, and he's really not young anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's
for NBA.
like you keep watching their rotation, and you see why they're like eager to have him.
Yeah.
But full disclosure, I mean, there were stretches in the season I was disgusted by what he was doing.
Yeah.
And with their depth, like they had to help him, develop and overcome and get better as a player.
Yep.
And I'm impressed that they had the patience to do that this year because they are in win now mode. They could have easily gone crazy at the deadline, did something drastic or played with the rotation in a weird way. And I actually like that they've not overreacted.
Yeah. Yep. And he's one of those dirty work guys that you hold on to because you trade for someone, of a different talent level. They may not do the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
So, Karis LeVert has, again, a team had a lot of injuries. They went through a lot of different things in their lineups. Guys, Dean Wade has played a lot. Strus is in and out. Garland's in and out. Forgot who else they have. Okoro's in and out. Another guy gets hurt a lot. And he's just been steady for them. Nights where they're missing a lot of guys, he comes in and has big scoring nights. His playmaking is better this year than it has been in a while. He kind of goes through stretches like throughout his career of sometimes he's a good playmaker. Maybe the next 2 years he's not so much a good playmaker. This year he's been a good playmaker again. In that surging Cavs team.
I think
Cole Anthony.
He's got a lot of parallels to Norman Powell, where it's like if he's not starting, he's like you automatically assume he's going to be a sixth man candidate.
Yeah. Yep. Cole Anthony, the Magic have had a point guard problem for a while now, and Cole Anthony has been their main second unit distributor, second unit leader from the point guard spot, and even as small as he is, he's been so hungry and so aggressive for them. It's really helped them. It's really swayed games for them as well.
He's probably been my favorite story as far as the bench players go, because my first impression of him was UNC.
Yeah,
and that was not a good first impression.
Yeah, he kind of led that team to the ground.
He did. It was rough, but and when Orlando drafted him and then drafted Suggs, I'm thinking like they don't want him. They're obviously getting a better guy for his job, and they have both kind of slightly adjusted to the team.
Yeah,
but for Cole, like Suggs doesn't surprise me. To me, I thought he could do that. I had no clue Cole Anthony could be a point guard. No clue.
Right.
I never saw it. I never saw any kind of rhythm to his game. I never saw him like actually dictating the pace. And I think I'm pretty sure I talked about this the first couple months. Like once I started watching Orlando, I'm looking at Cole Anthony like, I've never seen this guy.
Right.
He's like an elite NBA player that I never fathomed him being. And I'm really impressed by his progression because I did not see it coming whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's doing really, really well, and I think they've tried him. they've tried different things with him. They tried him maybe as a starter for a little while. They tried him being one of their primary scorers, and I think he's really found his sweet spot as that sixth man.
Yeah, he had some injury problems the first couple years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's always tough to kind of be consistent when you're you're missing time.
Yep. Andre Drummond, I think he leads the league in rebounds off the bench right now. Another guy, a lot of games, he comes in and is like really their third best guy when Vucevic is being inefficient and, you know, not playing inside much. Drummond comes in and they can like immediately change their whole play style around Drummond because he's just, you know, he's strong. He's shown a lot of athleticism since he's been on the Bulls. I think he runs the floor better, and he's getting like open court steals now as, you know, on the Bulls. Doing a lot of stuff that we didn't think he could do, or at least we didn't get to see in his last couple stops. But he's been really, really good for them, and one of the more important guys, probably the most important guy they bring off the bench. Another team dealt with a lot of injuries. And Walker Kessler, just a great shot blocker. And he's the one on this list that a lot of times, if they do have an injury, he does start. But when they're most healthy, they kind of bring him off the bench, and he comes in and has just been a great shot blocker, a great defender for bigs. I think he's someone that surprised me every night of like whose shot he blocks. Like he randomly would block Durant's dunk one night, and then like, you know, block a Paul George mid-range or something like that, and you're just like, wow, this kid has a lot of length and really good timing. He's a really solid player.
I like, and this is like a small skill that I actually want to see more from bigs. He is aware of his fouls.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as a rim protector, you got to like know, you know, how much fouls you got, how you could use them. And he has a good feel for like, I got to be vertical. Like, this is a guy that draws fouls. I can't reach. I can't, you know, pull some nonsense because he's going to capitalize off that.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah. He defends the dudes who draw fouls very well.
He does. He does.
And as a young player, like you're already a step ahead as a defender at that point.
Yeah, that's instant value as a defender, for sure. Yep, so that's our first team and second team, all reserves, all bench teams.
Yeah, man.
So now, another award that is really tough. It's tough that they only have one of these, which is the most improved award, because you really only get one chance to win it. Yeah. You know, after you make that jump in your career, you don't really make another one, or you don't make that much more of one. So you kind of only get 1 year to get the most improved award. And, you know, after you go from 8 points to 18, you're just an 18 points a game scorer from then on. So it's a tough award to be a solo award. So we feel like we created our most improved team. Only one team for this one. And we kind of based it around who the candidates we think might win most improved. But I did kind of try to keep the positions. So Kobe White at the point, Austin Reeves at the 2, Jalen Johnson at the 3, Kuminga and Jonathan Kuminga and Keegan Murray down low. Who do you want to talk about first on this team?
Let's talk Kuminga a little bit.
Kuminga has absolutely emerged as second best player on Golden State for most of this year. And we've talked about him a lot on this pod. Someone who came in as a supreme athlete that, at least for the first 2 years, I mean, definitely for the first year, they weren't sure was going to really crack the rotation as like an actual player or just some guy who can come in and make some highlights, you know, in garbage time. And not to mention the public comments by Kerr that, you know, he just wasn't ready to be out there on the floor. And then the drama this year he had with I guess, having a meeting or his public comments about feeling like he did deserve to be on the floor. And shout out to Kerr for giving him the chance. I mean, he should have been playing him anyway, but giving him the chance to prove whether he deserved to be out on the floor or not. And Kuminga has rose to that occasion on multiple levels.
Maybe this is like a weird way to put it, because we've talked about Kuminga a good amount. I was pretty negative on the Warriors earlier, so if there's a deep playoff run for them, I'm gonna have to acknowledge on multiple occasions that I was mistaken. And to me, the only way that happens is him.
Yeah.
Like, he has to be a main catalyst. He has to feed off of Steph. Him and Steph have to kind of take control of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been such a key reason for them being a versatile scoring team.
Yes.
Like, he's really the only reason that they can score on multiple levels.
Yeah.
A lot of the other guys, it's kind of, you live and die by the ball movement, which is a good thing. But when you're dying by it, they're not good enough to do anything else. You still got to kick it. You still got to swing the ball. With Kuminga, and it's been so interesting this year because it's been kind of high and low, but they've slowly started to build trust in him.
Yeah.
And to me, in the playoffs, they have to continue that. There's no other choice, even if he doesn't play well.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see that. But the thing for me is, it's another example of what an incredible leader Steph is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm watching them give Kuminga more control, and him struggling to take that control, him kind of not able to take it on certain nights, him not really knowing what he should be doing other nights.
Mm-hmm.
And Steph has been beside him every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like, Steph has been, Steph got a teammate who, again, might not make it, might get tossed in the play-in game. And he's right beside him every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Steph is as good an on-court leader as I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, as we've had in the NBA, for sure.
His like way of getting everybody to move more and pass more, it's like it's like the perfect way to play basketball.
Yeah.
And to me, he's been, if any other player gets any credit for Kuminga's development, it's Steph.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kuminga has, like, I don't know another way to put it, but he hasn't really earned everything that the Warriors. He didn't really earn the freedom that the Warriors gave him to, like, then earn it afterwards. If that makes sense. Yeah, like, they gave him. This is a pure nurturing job by the Golden State Warriors organization to nurture Kuminga into who he is right now. Because now he's the most athletic player on the floor in 90% of the time. Like, any time they're not playing the Lakers, Kuminga might be the most athletic player in the gym. And they let him handle the ball. They let him take jump shots. His cuts have been huge for them. And honestly, to be frank, when Wiggins doesn't have his head in the game, they go to Kuminga, and he kind of saves them. He's actually kind of saved Wiggins' value this year, in my opinion. I love Wiggins, but I think they were less. There was less urgency to trade Wiggins with how Kuminga has played this year. Like, oh, maybe we can keep Wiggins because everything Wiggins was doing for us, Kuminga's doing for us right now. So
it didn't put the pressure, or it kept the pressure off. Like, Wiggins being such I still think he's crucial for them to make a deep run.
Yeah.
But Kuminga does give them a dynamic of, we're not living and dying by Wiggins having a great game.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Kaminga. Again, we don't know who will win Most Improved. It may not be anyone on this team, but um, these guys have made major jumps to really help
Yeah.
their teams. Austin Reeves, we talked about him a little bit earlier, but he's someone I really didn't think Austin Reeves was gonna be like have any longevity to his game. And this year, he's really made me confident that he'll be good for a pretty long time. And there's been multiple games where Austin Reeves was the best Laker on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean that, I don't mean Austin Reeves is a Hall of Famer. He's not saying he should be an All Star, but there's games where he has 32, 9 assists, where he's dictating the offense. He's getting double teamed and making plays. He's done all these things that in the midst of two bona fide NBA legends at this point.
Yes.
And D'Angelo Russell, who's been a major trade commodity and a starter basically everywhere he's went, all stars, I think at one point, or at least all star caliber. And Reeves just steps up in those moments. He just steps up and just does what he has to do. He's been fantastic for them.
It's funny because I mean you could look at this as a knock on D'Lo and AD, but
Mm-hmm.
when LeBron relinquishes control, it's to either AD, D'Lo, or Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves
Yeah.
is the only guy that like is I see him trying to be in tune with what the team needs.
Yeah. He's the
To
only
me,
one that.
he's like
Go
their
ahead.
second leader essentially.
He's the only one that LeBron looks fun playing with.
Yeah.
And you look around all LeBron's best years of his career, he looks to his running mate and he's having a lot of fun playing with them because of just their chemistry or because he just like they understand each other, and I think Reeves understands LeBron and maybe LeBron understands Reeves better than those other two guys.
Yeah.
Like they just don't have the same connection that they do. I've seen Reeves throw LeBron more lobs just this year than like AD's throwing good passes or deloading has.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a nice connection they have. He'll be a Laker for as long as he wants to be a Laker, I think, at this point.
Oh yeah. He's gonna be due for a payday soon.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Jalen Johnson and Kobe White. I'm going to bunch them up together for me, but Kobe White had a couple injuries when he first came into the league. He was a bona fide scorer at UNC, also another UNC guard. Had a couple of injuries when he came into the league, and we talked about him a few times before, whether he was starter caliber yet, what we saw in him at that point, and he was just someone that just needed the opportunity. Some injuries went down, some trades, and he's stepped up and been by far their second best player this year, and their best player some nights. And he just attacks every matchup he has, and he looks great doing it. And I would say the same thing. The only reason I'm bunching them together, I say the same thing about Jalen Johnson. He had a couple nagging injuries, but another athletic freak for Atlanta. He's a nice break from the guard heavy, ball dominant, dribbling heavy offense that they have. Someone that'll dunk on anyone who's in the paint. Like he just attacks anybody. He's in just a year, he's become a much better shooter, a much better threat for that team, and he's probably my favorite role player that Atlanta has at this point.
And see, this is I want to bunch Jalen Johnson and Keegan Murray in the same group.
Okay.
Because Kobe White is like very individually. It's like he's individually been much better.
Yeah.
He's kind of saved, his career in a way as far as like us really seeing a future for him as an NBA guard.
Yeah.
but it's not really correlated with anything of that the Bulls got going on.
Right.
And this is as good a compliment as I could give a role player. Jalen Johnson and Keegan Murray, I honestly think either one of them deserves the award more than the other guys.
They have brightened the future of their franchises. And Kobe White really has.
It's brightening it in darkness because Atlanta and Sacramento have regressed over the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been these two guys maintaining a level of consistency despite the team playing bad basketball.
Right.
Like these guys,
yeah.
both of them not only have immensely improved the scores, like in one summer, like how do you work on all this stuff I didn't see you doing the year prior?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes me disappointed in other guys that took, improvement steps. But to me, it's like that ability to not develop the bad habits of the team, always fall back on the right way to play, cutting more, always being super competitive, super confident, never hogging the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, just being aggressive, never fearing. They're in year 2. Both of them are in year 2 or 3, and they don't fear a soul.
Nope.
So to me, again, stat-wise, I think Keegan probably has a better case. I think his point jump is pretty significant, and he's a clear-cut starter versus kind of their fringe 6-man last year.
Yeah.
But both of these guys have, no matter how gross the team plays, like you said, they are like a shining light for their respective teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they might like make their respective teams more dangerous than we think, especially for a one-game situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure. Yeah. Very well said. So that's our teams. First team all bench, second team all bench, and our most improved team. I wish the NBA would put this, enact this, because I think it's just kind of crazy that you can only win most improved and that's a wrap. And no one else can win it. You're never going to go back and be like, yeah, last year 3 guys could have won most improved. Just make a most improved team, man. It could still be one award. That person who wins the award could still be on, they're going to be on the team and they'll still get the award. But a lot of guys have really improving years.
My expectations are much lower. I'm just, NBA, can we please give it to a guy that actually deserves it? That should be fucking obvious. I shouldn't have to ask for that.
Is Ja Morant's most improved title the worst ever?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially since I know I'm still on the Jordan Poole train, unlike most people. But this has nothing to do with that. Just at the time, if you're the NBA, why wouldn't you reward a player who's done it through your ranks? You have the G League. Someone comes out of the G League and is the third best player on a championship team, and you don't reward him with most improved player. That's what you want out of the G League. That's the point. He accomplished what the point of the G League is.
That's why it's who's winning most improved this year? SGA? The fuck? Based on the Ja criteria, SGA might as well win that shit.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean, honestly, Jalen Williams has a decent case. I don't know how his stat jump, but he has gotten a significantly better.
Yeah, his stat jump will be why he wins it for the most part.
But it's got to be a guy that deserves it, man. Not a guy who, the numbers. Even though the numbers are a leap, it's obvious that there's not a player leap there.
Right.
Sometimes the team just has no choice but to hand way more of the responsibility to a player.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Jalen went from 14 to 19, by the way. Points.
Johnson did?
Williams. Jalen Williams.
Oh, Jalen Williams? Okay.
Yeah, 14 to 19.
That's
which he's taking 3 more shots, so that's what happens.
Keegan Murray's about the same point jump, I think, like 5 to 6 maybe.
Yeah. Yep. That's all I got for today. You got anything else?
No, I mean, we'll be back right after the play-in, right? We'll get an episode previewing all the matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be a good week of basketball coming up.
Yeah, exciting. I really hope the play-in is like last year's atmosphere. Almost this is very similar to a March Madness atmosphere, to be honest.
I'm gonna need another team to do what Pat Bev did with Minnesota, treat it like a title.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's like no underdogs this year for the play-in. That's the only thing that kind of sucks.
I mean, if Chicago gets in the playoffs, miracle.
Yeah, they should celebrate.
Absolute miracle.
Yeah, most of the teams in the play-in this year really shouldn't be in the play-in. That's the part that's kind of it's mostly disappointments.
I'm really only hoping that the Lakers and Warriors don't have to send each other home.
I know, me too.
I don't want that game. I don't know what the seeds will have to be for that not to happen, but also one of them will have to take care of business.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Lakers will have to win that first. Whoever the high one will have to win the first game. That's the key.
Yeah.
Which would probably be the Lakers.
The West. Those West play-in teams are sweating right now. I know they're stressed.
I know. Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time.